Guiding light is all I know. Through wood and steel, through fire and lace, I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Is to a throid arcane. You laid the path before me. You guided every step. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it's sure? We'll build the land, our hearts within. From dawn till dusk, I work, I strive. With your blessing, I'll survive. The loom, the forge, the sword, the grain in your name, I rise again. Got Bua, got Tolan, got Trio. In you lies strength, in you lies skill. Each victory, each talent, each trial. No task too great, no skill too small. Your gifts, dear goddess, guide us all. Into force. Without your light, we have no guide. But with your hand, our place abides. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it's sore? To find it undear, our greatest deed. By the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Blessed by her grace, forever, forever.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Pax Dei, Search for Steel. We are currently in our episodes where we're looking at Foundations of Thought, What is Wisdom series, where we're discussing how wisdom, reason, and leadership originated, and in various traditions, from Socrates to Confucius to Buddha to the Upnash. I totally bastardized this one. Forgive me for that. Upanishads. And in episode 2, we went into the ethics of nature and the good life. We explored ethical frameworks and thinkers like Aristotle, Lao Tzu, Krishna, from the Bhagavad Gita, the Epicurus, and the Seneca. So tonight, just to give a recap, we're gonna, well, there's two things we're gonna do tonight. First, we're gonna do some alchemy in Pax Dei, because I need to find my death cap extract and make some healing potions, which I don't know if I have death cap extract. So I might have to go get some death caps, but I'm not really going to do that tonight because I need cotton. Let's see. They look like this, and they're pretty consistent in. Looks like I'm just gonna. Oh, there's some death caps. Let's see if I have any more death caps. I'll have to go downstairs to figure it out. You make the curved stairs, and you really should walk. It's not a run down the stairs type of effect. Oh, here we go. Cool. I had plenty. Do I have any? Cool. And I'll be able to make potions at the same time as I can make more extra. That'll be nice. Oh, wrong side. There we go. Always slow yourself down inside because it becomes harder. I think this is what I need for this. Oh, look at this. What is this? Ladder companion. I didn't realize I was making that. I'm sorry. Ah, water. Take a shortcut. Yes, shortcuts do damage. At least that one does. And since I have a barrel up there, I'll bring 2 cans of water. There we go. All right. So yeah, we've been going through this wisdom series, and it'll apply to every aspect: gaming, work, and home, relationships, however you want to apply it. At the end of the series, we'll be putting it all together, so you'll be able to use it effectively with all the information I'm giving you in a 6-part series. It will definitely be one of those aspects, or one of those pieces of information. I shouldn't say aspects, pieces of information that I'll certainly want to follow up on. Let's see what this gives me. There's the health tonic. So this is the 80. This is what I wanted to do. And it does take miles. Ugh. 4 should give me 20, I think. There we go. I should be able to get 3 more if I have another vial sitting here. I do. There we go. Just finish off that death cap. I need to go get more. I know where they are. They're really weeds, honestly. I've skipped over them enough times. Pull this back. It's in there too. And then we'll get into our subject matter. I think you'll enjoy tonight's episode. Just for the sake of tonight's episode, I'm gonna put that in there. Now that there's potions down my other area. We'll be going to the furthest southern area, so I'll try to not fight things. And we'll take minimal amounts of equipment. You know what? I'll take this because I'm not there to fight anything, so I'll just take that for defense. And then I'll put this here for now. And we will, so what did we go over in episode 1 and 2? Let's go over that. And I will be using the running in between the areas glitch feature where I can just simply keep sprinting all the way to where I need to be. So I'll be going past fights. I will not be slowing down because I will be in the wildlands. And although I can take stuff, I don't need to, so we will just continue to run. When I get down there, I will perform grace, where I can get extra harvesting ability or foraging ability. All right. So what did we do in episode 1? Well, we defined wisdom and its origins by examining the foundational thinkers and traditions. We learned that wisdom combines reason, moral insight, and experiential knowledge. In episode 2, we defined ethics and the concept of the good life, discovering how various ethical systems influence decision-making, essential for both personal well-being and effective leadership. In episode 3, we actually went over critical thinking. So we went over that and reason in and of itself. So today we have a dual focus. We're of course building on the foundations that I've already mentioned, and we're going to explore 2 interconnected themes. One is leadership and power, which means what leadership and power actually means, how we're going to discuss it. It means to wield authority, maintain justice, and act responsibly. Drawing on classical thinkers like Plato and Machiavelli, as well as Eastern perspectives from Ashoka, Panditsi, and Sun Tzu. And 2, we're going to discuss decision-making and free will. How our choices are formed, whether they're truly free or predetermined, through the lenses of Descartes, Spinoza, Arabi, Nagarjuna, and Schopenhauer. So a lot going on today. Of course, I can't stop running, or this will take forever. So I'm gonna hold off on my notes for now and get by everything, and then get down to where I am going to start picking cotton. Pro tip on Pax Dei is you run to your destination, you do what you have to do, and then you teleport back to your home stone so it's safe in your home valley to proceed back to your home. A lot goes on in the game. So I hope I piqued your interest in tonight's episode. I think for the most part, a lot of people out there enjoy listening to not lectures, but information. And of course, this channel is definitely set. If you have a comment in the chat, I will try to see it and I will respond. As last night, we went over how questions are not. I'm not going to take offense to questions. I'm going to use them as learning tools. I might not have the answer. You might come up with something that's brilliant, and I will incorporate that. It's always good to have these interactions. Well, while I'm running, and before we really step it up, we're going to. And I just want to mention, even though the chat is quiet, I encourage you to take notes or simply reflect on the ideas we're talking about as you're doing. We'll be defining every term along the way, too. So, one of the pet peeves I have with a lot of different channels, they expect you to know the definitions, what they're talking about, yet those definitions might change just slightly in somebody's mind. We might not have the focused definition as much as we would like to think we do. And what I mean by that, we're not wrong. We're just thinking of a definition that mostly applies to our what we call these, our biases, right? We might be associating a definition where we can get away with outlining the conversation in a conscious bias, right? All of us do it. The channel, especially last night's conversation, is to attempt to bring everybody back into the fold where we think before we speak and we really take into account somebody else's words. Essentially active listening, right? We actively listen, then we form our opinion based off of that opinion or those words, right? Yesterday's conversation, I wholeheartedly welcome you to join us in that conversation in the last podcast. I think it was very good for our discussions moving forward in life, in game. So just when we think, I should say it this way, when we don't want to think, we tend to take a lazy aspect, and I use lazy in not in a derogatory term. I'm talking about we're tired, we're fatigued. We don't want to expend the energy necessary sometimes when we're outlining when we're trying to understand certain conversations. We take the surface level and we move on it, right? Very, very easy for us to do that. And it takes no effort. However, pausing is as valuable a communication method as talking through the point. Just a nod out to Pax Dei's art in Unreal Engine. I think they're at 5.1 or 5.2. I can't remember. But look at that. That's amazing. I love how the sun actually will be a detriment for me to fight along this road. You can use the sun to your advantage in strategy and tactics. It's pretty cool. Really, I'm really liking where they're going with the overall feel of the game. Yeah, this one takes a while to get to. We've traveled pretty far so far. The map's about, I don't know, you can probably get to every portion of the map in 10 to 15 minutes worth of running. So it's not a small map. And there's 5 maps like this. I think the Leoness is the PvP area. I think that is the smallest map out of them all. And this is where I come when I die. At least one of them is. This isn't too bad because there's no dangerous animals over here. It's pretty serene. Which is really nice. Some of the areas in Pax Dei you are not as fortunate. Just say it that way. Alright, once I'm across this bridge, we can begin our conversation a little bit more in depth. I think the worst in this area is Boers and the Zebians. Alright, so this is where the cotton will be starting to be seen. So they'll just, there it is, the first ones, right? There's lavender and there's cotton. Cotton is an easy resource to get. It's just hard to get to. This is the only area that I know of with cotton in it. So there is that. You can actually run around here because cotton is fairly visible. So you just gotta be on the lookout instead of walking. And then you just, oh, of course, I forgot to do my gathering. There we go. There we are. So now when I actually pick up the cotton, it'll be a lot more yield per pick. So always keep that in mind when you're doing the in Pax Dei. Now that we have the grace system, you really want to understand and use the grace system as much as possible. And notice I waited until I was in the area to use the grace system. So there is that. Let me go over here real quick. I thought there was, yeah. I don't have these all mapped out. I just remember where they are. And it just becomes easier. Like I said, cotton. That's one of the best parts about cotton is they don't make it a resource that's hard to find. They just made it really far to get to. For many people, not all people. Like this is really close to down in Wit, I think. Look, Wit's right here, so that's like a hop, skip, jump on the Wit, and down is here. Maybe Shire's a cool spot too. Gale is not. All right. So let's part. I've thrown this together in 3 parts tonight. So part 1 is going to be to define, explore leadership concepts like leadership, power, authority, justice, and responsibility. Then we'll go into section 2 or part 2, and we'll transition to decision making and free will, defining decision making, free will, determinism, and related concepts. And then we'll go into part 3. We'll integrate both of the themes in real world applications in the corporate leadership, gaming, Pax Dei, for example, and everyday decisions. So sit back, relax, watch me pick some cotton, and we will hopefully not encounter any fights. Might have to fight a few boar, which will hurt with my axe. I just realized that. That's alright. These boar are not simple. These are pretty tough. So Poor planning. Poor planning. It's my bad. There we go. As you can see, not too bad. I will be stopping to look at my notes, which are Ryan's closer to me. I don't need Ryan. Okay. So let's define leadership. So we're going to define leadership tonight as the art or ability to guide, influence, and inspire others toward a common goal. I think that's pretty good. Leadership involves vision, integrity, and the capacity to motivate you. That's what we're looking for, and how we're going to discuss it tonight. Let me ask for the chat or the comment section. Do you feel a little bit differently on the definition I've provided, or perhaps you can add to the definition? Let's discuss afterward, and after I provide a little bit more context to tonight's episode. All right. Power. The capacity or ability to influence the behavior of others or the course of events. Makes sense, right? You don't hold power over somebody unless you can do those things. All right, you gotta look at the ground too. All right, so actually I have to run all the way back to the other side. That's pretty much all that spawns over here. So power may be formal. It derived from a position, or informal, gained through expertise, or simply charisma. Then we have to define authority. Authority is the legitimate power or accepted right to make decisions and enforce rules. Authority, right? Authority is often granted by a group or institution, or it can be earned through demonstrated competence. Authority, and a lot of people will look at these definitions and try to apply them to varying degrees of success to what's happening in the world today. And let's talk more. Let's talk more, because we'll get Just can't believe I found God back. That's all right though. As we continue, we have to define justice, right? So justice. Fairness in the distribution of rewards, responsibilities, and treatment of individuals. In leadership, justice ensures that decisions are impartial and benefit the collective, and not the individual. A good leader will not only afford leniency or directives or work to an individual. So that's a good definition. I am going to definitely have that. Let's look at responsibility. The obligation to answer for one's actions and the outcomes they produce. Let me clarify that a little bit. A responsible leader is accountable for both successes and failures. So let's dive into some detailed philosophical insights on leadership concepts themselves. So from Plato's perspective, The philosopher king should lead based on wisdom and moral virtue. We talked about morals in earlier episodes, so please, I highly recommend going back to those episodes, because it took an episode really to dive deep into morals and ethics, right? So I really want you to understand these in depth. Last time I came with a group of people. We were trying to split cotton, which it was all right. I mean, we're a group, and I totally was okay with it. Because I'm just glad there's this much cotton. We're in the wildlands, so you can't make a plot of land here. It has to be in one of the home valleys. If you were wondering, as we're moving through into the more dangerous part of this area, the Zebians are going to be here. So, all right. So, Plato believed that true authority comes from a deep knowledge of, and here it is, the form of the good, meaning a leader's decisions should be guided by truth and justice rather than personal ambition. And yeah, right? I mean, I would hope all of us could agree on that, because that makes sense, right? That just makes logical sense. All right, what else do we got? Machiavelli. Machiavelli was we talk about research and doing your own research and such for a lot of different reasons. But I highly advise you to read up on Machiavelli. He said effective leadership sometimes requires pragmatic, even ruthless decisions. Now, when he said that, did he mean ruthless in the way we would take ruthless today? And I'm going to say no. What he meant was, when you do take the position, ruthless will be defined by other people. They find it ruthless. It is by perspective. And if you find it ruthless, then there's then we have to talk about morals and ethics again, right? And I believe essentially that he was really saying you have to take the unpopular position, right? Ultimately, that's what he's saying. So the ends justifies the means is a central idea here. Leaders may need to take difficult actions to preserve stability or power. Now, a lot of us grow up with the moral and ethics of how could the ends justify the means? And that is a true statement, right? It's not a good way of looking at things. And Machiavelli has been part of that type of scrutiny when you're looking at his writings for a long time. No doubt. I personally, I can't do and justify the means. But is there a situation where that has to occur? Right? I would have never seen this. By the way, just to give you an idea, with the gathering skill, I'm getting a lot of cotton, so. And I gotta stay away from the Zebians right now. They're right there. Something. choose to go this way. If I had a shield and one of my better weapons, I might show you a little combat, but yeah, it's not a great way to, the axe won't be good enough for these guys. The shield would help me immensely. And I'm gonna get as close as I can to these guys. Because this cotton is valuable. There we go. And I can walk away. There's a lot of cotton around this area. Luckily, there's not too many Zibians that guard the cotton. You would think they would be better dressed with all this cotton around. Maybe they just think it's a weed. Alright, where was I? Alright, so let's go with some Eastern perspectives as well, so that we can pepper it around the old here. Ashoka, transformation from a conquest to benevolent ethical ruler. So after witnessing the cost of war, Ahsoka embraced compassion, setting an example of using power for the greater good. Yeah, I can see a lot of people going into that mindset. I mean, if you've been through the violence, you've been through the pain. I can't say I've ever gone through the pain. I don't think many of us have. If any people have. In the United States, only a few handful of soldiers, right, have been through war. And a lot of soldiers, especially in the United States, we don't like war. We think it's not productive. We do know the necessity, and we know why we need to go to war. But we're definitely not ones to want it. Right? So Ahsoka, or Ahsoka is telling everybody, you just lead through benevolence, compassion. I think it would like that, right? All right, so Hans Beasy, he said legalism, emphasizing strict laws and punishments to maintain order. This approach values discipline and clear rules, albeit with less emphasis on personal virtue. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't have agreed with a lot of the things he says. I understand that law. Let's make our mark here and see what happens. Get our hit points back up. All right. Sun Tzu. I think many people have heard of Sun Tzu, and I highly encourage everybody that the philosophers and leaders that I bring up, go research. There we go. Really? Oh, no wonder I was on the wrong button. That's okay. Oh, yeah, the scanner though. Alright. Took a lot more damage than I needed to on that. know I can't. Well, I can take two, but yeah, I want to teach. All right, I want to have that conversation. So if you're in the chat, by all means, there's some. I don't monitor my my chat too often, or I should say, the lot of people who are live with me. I appreciate you here, though, and I appreciate my subscribers. And I will be putting out a new music video probably next week. I haven't decided. This one has a little less video that isn't a well, this one's going to be a country song, so I have a country singer that's not singing to the country, to the words. So I kind of like trying to figure out what I want to do now. Now I gotta kind of watch the area because there's Zebians in these structures. So I just want to do that before I go back to my notes. I do that. Oops, see, the inventory was already full. Can I drop anything? Nope, but I got 50 of every cotton piece, so go back to the home. I like they changed the graphic for the Petra Maya. All right. So Sun Tzu said strategic adaptability, knowing when to act and when to refrain. So be as fluid as water. Encapsulates Sun Tzu's advice. Leadership requires flexibility and keen observation of the situation. There we go. All right. Let's get into segment 3. So the philosophical foundations of leadership and power. We're gonna look at exploring key thinkers on leadership themselves, like Plato, and what they think. So Plato's ideal leadership. It was the philosopher king. That's where he really put down his roots, right? A leader whose rules not for personal gain, but to uphold the common good, guided by wisdom and ethical principles. Man, my food is really running out. There's no way that's 25 minutes worth of at any rate. So a leader, Plato's idea of stresses self-knowledge, virtue, and the pursuit of truth as prerequisites for leadership. Machiavelli, in when he's talking about the realpolitik, he defined it as a political philosophy where the stability and success of a state justify the means employed. So Machiavelli's work in The Prince underscores the need for sometimes hard choices in leadership. Now, of course, there's been people who have really bastardized this concept. I always skin on the way back, but it's a game. It's not real. Machiavelli really he's making the point where hard choices, this hard choice, how do you define hard choices, right? Yeah, we'll get more into that. I'm sure, because I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm giving you all the information to make you a better leader. So let's do it. So, Ashoka's moral reform said leadership through ethical transformation. So moving from aggression to compassion and governance. He actually had a conversion to Buddhism, which led him to prioritize social welfare over territorial expansion. Hans Fiese and Sun Tzu look at strategy and control, right? So Hans Fiese. Let me get into Han. There we go. This axe is pretty powerful, but you're pretty much at the mercy of their attack. There we go. Alright, so Han Fiese, I don't know how to spell F-E, I don't know how to pronounce that spell. F-E-I-Z-I. His concept was strict legalism, the use of rigid laws to control behavior and maintain order. So this method obviously emphasizes clear rules and consequences, often at the expense of flexibility. I'll refrain from trying to pontificate on each one of these philosophies for now. Sun Tzu said adaptive strategy, a method of leadership that requires to adjust one's tactic based on real-time intelligence. Know your enemy and know yourself. It's central to his approach, applicable in both military and corporate strategies. And when we say enemy, we're obviously not meaning in wartime. A lot of people like to try to say, oh, you think of us as your enemy, you want to kill us. No, enemy is very much a term where we're trying to figure out who's on our side and who's not on our side. So how would I use these in game? Well, especially in Pax Dei, a leader who blends these approaches might enforce strict rules with, easy, while also dynamically adjusting strategies mid-battle. Sun Tzu. I would go one step further. This is a game. As a leader, one of the things you really want to do is be compassionate. People have lives outside the game, come here to enjoy themselves, to forget their mundane lives they might have, or troubles in their lives, just escape it, right? Healthy or not, we're not talking about that. We're talking white people. That's all. Alright, let's talk about modern leadership and approaches. So, if you look at research, an example would be like a CEO leading a company through an economic uncertainty by combining decisive action, Machiavelli, with ethical transparency of Plato or Ahsoka. Right? So studies by Base and Avialo on transformational leadership show that ethical and inspiring leaders improve employee morale and performance. So what would you do as a leader in this scenario? You would encourage regular reflective questioning during meetings. What values are guiding our decision today? Emphasize using data-driven insights along personal empathy. I'm getting under my third swing. Sorry. So everybody loves dad. He's, give me data and I'll make a decision. Sometimes you don't have the data, or the data is messy, like garbage in, garbage out, right? And why do I say it that way? Because a lot of times the data that we need to filter is not, we're not given the opportunity. And each time we look at the need for certain data in certain situations, we might not have a viable way of gathering the data efficiently, quickly, and we have to sift through it, right? So there's a lot to leadership, understanding and using data-driven insights along with personal empathy. Like where did the data come from? How fast can we get it? Is it the weekend? Is it overtime? Personal empathy, right? Do I task people who are already 100% in the role? Do I task them and give me 110%? And how is that ethical, right? So let's dive more into MMORPGs. Let's have some fun with it. So clan leaders must make rapid decisions that affect both strategic and team cohesion. So if you look at a clan leader using Sun Tzu for strategic insights to plan an ambush while ensuring that the rules reminiscent of legalistic principles are enforced fairly, right? So let's think about this. Think about the role in your team. How do you balance authority with empathy? This applies to both professional and gaming, right? Yay, I got another level. I need to get, I think, Fine Fountain or something like that, so it's going to take a while to get there. Yeah. Anyway, head to new route. All right, let's go into bridging. Now that we understand certain leadership principles, not all, gosh, not all. Once you start digging into leadership, you'll find a cornucopia of leadership principles. As I say in previous episodes, it's a tool in a toolbox. Craft your toolbox so it holds a lot of tools. You might not use them, but at least you know of them and you have the ability to utilize them if you want them. So every leadership decision is also a decision about how we choose our actions, right? This brings us to our next theme, decision-making and free will. Good leadership relies on informed, reflective decision-making. We'll explore how our minds work when making choices and whether those choices are truly free. So let's make some core definitions here. Decision-making. The process of selecting a course of action among several alternatives. It involves both conscious deliberation and, at times, rapid intuitive reactions. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. There's the emotional reaction, which is a quick decision, and there's the studious or the calm decision. It takes more time, you pause, and you evaluate all of the inputs before you make a decision. And I'm going to take a pause for a non-sponsored spot from Zevia. Zevia is a 0-calorie cola that I drink. It doesn't have any sugar. It has stevia, which is a plant that is, some say, 10,000 times sweeter than sugar. But it's natural, and it doesn't cause insulin spikes in your system. Okay. So free will, the capacity to choose independently, excuse me. I took a drink and my mouth is just fluttering. Free from external or predetermined forces. Free will is contrasted with determinism, the idea that every decision is pre-shaped by preceding events. So let's look at philosophical perspectives on free will. So Descartes said, or emphasized, the role of reason. I think, therefore I am, as evidence of free will. He argued that our ability to doubt and reflect proves our capacity to choose freely. Spinoza said he presented a more deterministic framework, so 180 from Descartes. For Spinoza, true freedom comes from understanding and aligning with natural laws rather than acting against them. Well, can we kind of get more? Let's get more. So I did a little more research. Al-Fabari, he said he integrated rational thought with ethical action. So he sees free will as emerging from the development of one's own character. Nagarjuna and Schopenhauer, Nagarjuna. Anyway, his Buddhist perspective, he questioned the notion of independence itself. Schopenhauer, said the will is a powerful force that often drives actions beyond reasonable control. These views challenge the idea that our decisions are wholly autonomous. So Descartes had a method called systematic doubt. He urged us to talk about, urged us to doubt that we can be doubted until we find something indubitable. So imagine examining a business strategy by questioning every assumption until only the most robust ideas remain. That's pretty, think about that. I'm going to say, imagine re-examining a business strategy by questioning every assumption until only the most robust ideas remain. Spinoza's deterministic approach says, he believed that by understanding causes behind our actions, we can achieve a form of freedom. So recognizing the external factors that shape your decisions can empower you to adjust your strategy rather than feeling trapped. And that's a quote from him. So I should have said, quote, recognizing, right? Recognizing the external factors that shape your decisions can empower you to adjust your strategy rather than feeling trapped. So let's look at their views on free will. Well, Al-Farabi's his synthesis was ethical reasoning strengthens our capacity to make responsible choices. A leader who, quote, a leader who understands their ethical obligations can choose actions that honor both results and integrity. Pretty cool, right? All right, let me, before I go into Nagarjuna and Schopenhauer, let me find out what this did for me. I didn't have enough to make more. Weird. Oh, it's locked in the. Looks like it's going to be my way I'm going to advance more. That is a lot of cotton. There we go. Only 1,000,002 left. Yeah. Do that. I have to save some of the spring for the cord. Down here. Oh boy, I just don't have any room, do I? That's food. I don't want to do that. That's food. You know what? I might get rid of it. But I don't have enough room. That's more. That's leather. Get the birds in the background. That's pretty cool. There's the bullet one. Right, here we go. There. All right. We still have some gathering going on, so I'm in my home valley. I don't need to do anything other than get the. There we go. My hands are not placing. All right, let's go in. I'm gonna shorten these names, and I'm gonna be totally. Magic to get the upper hand. None of this. Probably could use the tool. You know what? I'm not going to. Wax. As much as I can before my grease. Here? Okay. So, Nagarjuna's view suggests that the choices are independent within a web of causes, while Schopenhauer emphasizes that the inner will, quote unquote, often drives us beyond rational control. That's interesting. I'd have to think about that one. All right, so what's the application? During high pressure moments, whether in a corporate crisis or a Pax Dei raid or maybe in your personal life. Recognizing these influences can help you pause, reflect, and recalibrate. It's a very woo way. So reflect on a time when you felt a decision was not entirely your own. What external factors or internal forces were at play? I've always felt free will is free. There's no external forces that really made me do it. Maybe nudged me, pushed me in a certain direction or not. That maybe. But mostly I felt a lot of the times that my directions are my own. I don't like to afford other people the grace that they are affecting me at such a level of informing my or forcing me in a decision at all. I can always work on things like that. And after reading these, maybe I take a harder look at my bias, my confirmation bias. Am I thinking that no one's doing what making me or forcing me? That's a good question. I'd like to think no, but as we're reading, it might be the case. That might be the case entirely, which is interesting. Introspective. Maybe I'll take this episode and I'll write down that question and actually really ponder it, really give it some thought. Ultimately, I think we all could use an exercise in thought every day. I can tell you today, I wasted about an hour just looking online, either YouTube Shorts or just wholly unproductive today. Absolutely unproductive today. And there's so much blocks around here. That's good, because I'm going to need a lot. There we go. All right. So let's synthesize some of this information, right? What's at the core of this? Effective leadership is not just about wielding authority. It's about making decisions that are both ethical and context sensitive. So if we picture a CEO navigating a crisis, right? What do they have to do? Well, they have to analyze the data, which is a nod to Descartes, right? Understand the market and the social forces, which is a nod to Spinoza, and act with compassion and ethical clarity, drawing from Plato and Ahsoka. So, in games, like Pax Dei, a clan leader must make split-second decisions, especially if you're out and about, right? That impact the strategy of the group and the morale, which it reflects the complex interplay between free will and external pressure. All right. So let's take a moment to reflect on a decision that we've made in the past. Was it influenced by an external pressure, or did you feel genuine freedom of choice, or the freedom to choose? How might integrating both a rational analysis and ethical reflection change your approach next time? So let me just off the cuff, right? There's a lot of external pressures that we feel. Some we self-impose. Time is probably the one pressure that we think we need to bend to. For example, if somebody slights you or somebody calls you a name, you immediately want to retaliate with words. Very rarely, I think, anybody wants to move to violence immediately. A decision, though, nonetheless. But the point I'm trying to make is the external influences, that person egging us on, trolling us. One of the methods of communication that I'll probably do a whole series on is pause. Just pause. Don't provide or don't give them the satisfaction of responding quickly. Even if it's good, it'll put them back foot. So you definitely want to do research into research. So you want to look for research references, right? You want to summarize the key findings from cognitive, psychological, and neuro leadership studies. Studies that show that when both analytical prefrontal cortex and emotional limbic system processes are engaged in decision making is more effective. So leaders who practice reflective thinking and balance rational analysis with emotional awareness tend to perform better, both in the corporate settings and in high stakes gaming scenarios. So let me see. Do we have some time? We have a little bit of time. Let me find. Let's. I am. Let's see. Find research. All right. Wow. Did I just go through all of that? Ooh. One thing I do want from the developers is a log. So if I look away while I'm doing all that, the crafting, I would really like to understand, what was my average experience points. This way. Go have some 8 minutes on that gathering. Okay, so I just did a real quick search for empirical studies via ChatGPT. I am using O3 Mini High on this one, so just to give you an idea, I did not take the time to research if these are actual studies, so feel free to check me on this. Usually I do. I just thought maybe since we're playing a game, we have to look through these studies anyway. Let's take a look at what's going on. Maybe we'll be able to get some answers. Some studies that provide a little bit more of what we're talking about, a little evidence either way of what we're talking about. Right? So let's see. Daniel Kahneman, he did thinking fast and slow. So that was his big claim to fame. He did the System 1 and System 2. So fast, intuitive, and emotional thinking, and System 2 was slow, deliberate, and analytical reasoning. So effective decision-making requires recognizing when to engage System 2 to override the automatic bias of System 1. Makes sense. Quote, Kahneman's research shows that being aware of our cognitive biases and confirmation biases or anchoring, we can better ensure that our decisions are more thoughtful and less impulsive. And once again, we're back to the discussion with free will and thinking and decision making, that we have to understand or take the time to really go through the information. Take your time. Make sure you're on the same page. There's no reason to rush through 99% of your decisions. Even in Pax Dei, if you've planned well in Pax Dei, then you don't have to worry about making snap decisions, right? Or impulsive decisions might be a better way of putting it, right? Let's talk about relationships, right? When people tend to speak fast and want to clarify something quickly, maybe they have something to hide, maybe they don't. Maybe they really want to clear it up. But you can choose to say, okay, I've listened to you. I'm going to walk away now, and I'm going to think about it. And there's nothing bad about that, right? That is actually a good thing. It takes you out of the emotional context. Let's say you're in a heated discussion with your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Listen to them, right? You might be emotional, but listen to them. And then go, okay, and just walk away. But maybe they need that comfort to know, hey, I'm just walking away right now. We can talk later after I've calmed down. And they're like, oh, well, if you're upset, no. I am upset, and this is why you should allow me to walk away, right? Once you've overcome those chemical reactions, then you can go back to a more reasonable discussion. The emotions that you felt initially are going to be the strongest. That doesn't mean you're not going to feel emotion the second time you come back, right? That's not what I'm saying. However, at least in your decision-making process, your cognitive processes that are going to be used immediately, you can overcome that. You might make a mistake. You might say something that you didn't mean. You might not have all the information. There's a lot to an argument, or in a lot of cases, there's just a lot to it, right? So I would encourage you to use System 2s over System 1s, and I'll be referring to that in my future podcasts as well, because it's a great way of communicating what you should be and what you shouldn't be doing. Yeah, they always seem to be getting under me today. That's weird. Not like they're doing a lot of damage. Still, not a great place to be. All this for a sword, by the way. You ask why I'm trying to increase tailoring. It's for a sword. I'm trying to get one of the best two-handed swords in the game, and it's going to take steel, which I'm at. I can work with. And it's going to take a little bit more advancement in there as well. However, tailoring is one of the things that I'm going to need to do. I need cotton cord, and I do not have it. So, just FYI, that's why you're seeing me do this, and I'm talking about decision making. Alright, let's see, what else? Oh, here's some transformational leadership from Base and Avello. They did their research on transformational leadership. I can't believe I got that. Wow, I punched a rabbit to death. Yeah, I know. There's some ethical problems with that too. Anyway, their transformational leadership this research indicated that leaders who combine ethical guidance, inspirational motivation, and intellectual stimulation tend to foster higher employee satisfaction and improved organizational performance. So what's the implication for leaders out of their study? The leaders who balance rational analysis with ethical conduct and empathy not only drive better decision making, but also create a more committed and an innovative team. This is research now. These are studies that have been going through the testing of peer review and such things like that. Are they completely 100%? Not necessarily. However, they give you a better insight because it has been empirically studied. It gives you a better understanding to be able to look at leadership in a way that if somebody is asking you, why are you doing it this way? You can say, because Base and Avello studied this and we could get a lot more accomplished because of it. So, quote, studies on transformational leadership consistently show that that ethical and inspiring leaders are more successful in motivating their teams and achieving sustained performance. So what about neuro leadership and the integration of emotion and reasoning? David Rock did studies in this. His core finding was, in works such as Quiet Leadership, Winning Hearts, Minds, and Matches, he highlighted that effective leadership involves engaging both the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for analytical, logical thinking, and the limbic system, which governs our emotional response. Limbic system, excuse me. So neuroimaging and neuroleadership research demonstrates that when leaders practice reflective thinking, balancing emotional regulation with rational analysis, they are better equipped to manage stress, navigate uncertainty, and make more balanced decisions. So, quote, neuroleadership research tells us that the most effective decision makers are those who harmonize the thinking brain with the feeling brain, leading to outcomes that are both reasoned and empathetic. All right, I'm going to go back up to my outline. It looks like I'm coming really close to the end of the outline. I'm not going to meet the 2 hours, but I think this is information that is really relevant. So an hour and a half is good enough. I think everybody would agree. All right. So studies show that when both analytical prefrontal cortex and emotional limbic system processes are engaged, decision making is more effective. And it kind of sewed up. So what are the key points? Leadership means using authority responsibly by integrating wisdom with ethical considerations. Decision-making involves both free will and the influence of external forces. Our choices are shaped by reason, emotion, and context. So I'm encouraging everyone to reflect on today's insights. Rewatch any of the segments that resonated with you and consider keeping a journal where you note how these ideas can be applied to your personal and professional life. So I want to make sure that my so that is trying to find my made an outline, and this wouldn't be it. Darn it. Okay. It would be probably here. Oh. Past it. So tomorrow's evolution, or next episode tomorrow, we're going to be going into. Seriously? Maybe it is higher. So tomorrow is going to go into. Oh boy. I'm looking for the topics, and I don't know why I can't find these. I am really going fast through my notes to try to find this. Here we go. Here you go. Episode, this would be 5. The social contract. So I think that's exactly what I'm, made a mistake yesterday, so I'm trying to avoid making the same one. So we'll explore the social contract, how communities form and thrive. So we're going to dive into the rules and the trust that bind both real-life organizations and virtual communities, like in RPGs, in particular Pax Dei. So, thank you for joining me on this deep dive into leadership, power, and decision-making. If you found today's session valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Stay curious, keep questioning, and I'll see you tomorrow. Be safer.
With every step, a lesson learned. From fire's heat to the fields I've turned. The blade and bow, the forge and flame. I sharpen my skills, I play the game. Each day brings a challenge I must face. I train my hands with careful grace. From alchemy's art to the hunter's way, I'll find the strength to seize the day. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. From the herbs I find to the iron I mold, each lesson learned is a story told. The stars above, they guide my hand as I hold my craft. I take my stand in the quiet woods, in the mountains chill. I push myself, I shape my will with each new tool and every lore. I'm stronger now than I was before. I carve my path, I walk the line in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive in a world where the strong survive. I face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. The road is long, but I won't turn back. The lessons I learned keep me on track. With each new skill, the stronger I grow. In the face of the storm, I let my courage show. I've tasted defeat, I felt the sting, but I rise again with each new spring. For knowledge is power, and wisdom the key. I'm forging my path, I'm breaking free. The skill of survival, the will to thrive in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight.